Welcome to my channel, ketomealsandrecipes.com. My family really likes seafood, but we don't make it very often. So today I'm going to make and share an extremely easy and incredibly flavorful Norwegian cream soup. This soup uses wholesome vegetables, tuna, and cream as its main ingredients. Another great thing about this fish soup, it's really quick and easy to make. And if you're wondering about its taste, although it's a fish soup, it has a very mild, gentle fish taste. Now, for your information, the macronutrient ratio for this Norwegian cream soup is 1.3 to 1, with 9.7 grams of total carbs, 2.4 grams of soluble fiber, 0.4 grams of insoluble fiber, resulting in 6.9 grams of net carbs and only 220 calories per serving. Here I have the ingredients I'll be using. Before starting any recipe, I like to begin by prepping and weighing all of my ingredients. Part of the prep is to get the vegetables ready, such as dicing the onions into fairly small pieces. Then I get the celery sticks and cut them lengthwise 2 or 3 times depending on how thick the celery piece is, and then chopping it into little pieces as well. For the bell pepper or capsicum, I'm going to cut the bell pepper, also known as a capsicum, into ribbons. Then I'm going to cut the ribbons into small pieces. By the way, you can use either the yellow, orange, or red bell pepper or capsicum, whichever you prefer and have on hand. Next, peel, and using the large holes of your grater, grate the carrot. Also, cut the cauliflower into small floret pieces. You want them to easily fit on the spoon. And because this is a keto recipe, I'm going to replace the potatoes, which are part of the original recipe. Instead, I'm going to use and dice my chayote into little cubes. Mushroom is also an ingredient, and here you have a choice. You can use whichever one you have on hand. Today I'm going to be using cremini mushrooms because that's what's in my fridge. But you can also substitute with portobello or white button mushrooms, or some other inexpensive mushroom. Before I forget, you also have to cut the mushrooms into small pieces. And the last bit of preparation I'm going to do is to finely dice my garlic cloves. Now all the prep is done, so I'm going to get a soup pan and place it over medium heat, drop in my unsalted butter, and when I notice that my butter is sizzling, I'm adding the onions. Saute the onions for a couple minutes until they're translucent and fragrant. Make a clearing in the center and drop in your celery. Cook the celery for 2 minutes. Make another clearing in the center and add the carrots and also 1 tablespoon of butter. Then saute for 1 minute. Make another clearing in the center and drop in your chayote. At this point, I want the vegetables to soften up, so I'm going to cover the pot with the lid and cook until the chayote is al dente or fork tender. And you guessed it, make another clearing in the center and drop in your bell pepper and also sprinkle the chili flakes on top. And after adding the chayote, saute for 2 minutes and then toss and combine and saute for another 2 minutes. At which point all you have to do is add the grated garlic and the cauliflower florets and stir well. Place the lid on the pot and saute for 1 or 2 minutes. The next 2 ingredients I'll be adding is the water and then the soup stock, or in my case, my homemade bone broth. And also season the soup with salt, dry thyme leaves, and pepper, and stir to integrate these seasonings into the soup. By adding the ingredients one at a time in steps like we did, this develops the layers and the flavor of the soup. And then let the soup cook until it comes to a light boil. In the meanwhile, place a frying pan over medium heat, pour in the oil, and when the oil is sizzling, drop in your mushrooms. Toss your mushrooms every once in a while as they're cooking to a golden brown. Then transfer the mushrooms and the oil into the soup pot. We're not quite done yet, so using the same frying pan, still over medium heat, add 1 more tablespoon of oil and place the tuna steaks in the pan. For each side of the tuna steaks, Cook for about 2 to 3 minutes to sear to a rich golden brown. Then scoop out the tuna and transfer it intact into the pot of soup. And I also deglaze the frying pan with some of the soup liquid, and having done that, pour the deglaze back into the pot. This really adds a lot of flavor. Cover your pot with the lid again and cook for 10 minutes. Then while the soup is cooking, get a small bowl, add and combine the heavy whipping cream and egg by whisking very well into a nice homogeneous mixture. After the first 10 minutes, pour this mixture into the soup pot. Gently give everything a stir so that the cream and egg integrate, but be very careful not to break up the tuna steaks. Cover your soup pot again and cook for 10 more minutes. Then give your soup a taste to make sure it's been seasoned properly. If it needs more salt, adjust. When the soup is done, turn off the heat and scoop out the tuna steaks. Pull and flake the tuna apart into bite-sized pieces. And this is how I like to serve to make sure that everybody gets the same amount. I distribute the tuna equally into the serving bowls, then ladle the soup content into the bowl, and please make sure you're getting a good mixture of vegetables with the soup. Although this is called a soup, it's actually very, very filling and can be a meal all on its own. But to make it into a very satisfying and satiating dinner, I like to serve 1 or 2 slices of one of my hearty breads, such as my family's favorite walnut bread, or a delicious breadstick or 2. These are the preferred breads I like to serve with this hearty soup. Please tell me if you have a favorite bread or other recipe you would serve with it. In conclusion, I want to mention you can store the leftovers in an airtight container stored in your refrigerator for 4 to 5 days. But I do not recommend that you try freezing this Norwegian cream soup. Because of the cream, it will separate, and it will not get that creaminess again if you try to reheat it from frozen. If you like seafood recipes and would like some more ideas, please check out the end cards I have specifically selected if you like this recipe. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video. Your support and time are greatly appreciated. If you can, let me know where you're watching from. Most of all, come back next Thursday morning when I post my next video. Until then, I wish you a very happy and healthy day. Cheers!